This is Greg Troutwine with Maritime Reporter TV, and we're here today with Kurt Olsen, the Vice President of Shipyard Operations at Stevens Towing, and we're here to discuss this historic, multi-generational family company and its offering to the maritime industry. Kurt, to start us off, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? You know, I'm sure most watching know what a Vice President of Shipbuilding Operations does, but discuss your tenure here at the shipyard and your responsibilities today.
Yeah, so I've been here 10 years working for Stevens Towing, and my role is to take the project from start to finish. So we get an RFQ, a request for quote, call from a customer, they call me, walk them through the first step, set them up with the project manager, the departments, execute that project, and close it out with the customer.
So, you know, did you always know that yours would be a career in maritime, or more importantly, how did you get to where you are today?
Right, so I graduated from Kings Point Merchant Marine Academy in 2013 as a shipyard management major. If you ask any of my classmates coming out of graduation who would still be in the industry, they probably would have said I would have been the last one to do it. Ironically enough, when I graduated, I sailed for a couple years for Tidewater Marine, and then came shoreside, working at Stevens Towing. Thought it was just going to be a job. I was actually following my dad's footsteps. He went shipyard to power plant to sales. Now made his career in commercial real estate. So ended up getting my real estate's license, thinking that was going to be my route, go back to school. And then when I started working at Stevens Towing, got very strong feelings about the family atmosphere that they've provided, the history behind the company. You know, if you look at most companies nowadays, it's, you know, everything's big corporate, you know, you climb the ladder, whereas at Stevens Towing, I saw the vision that Johnson had for the company, and he gave me an opportunity that I'm very grateful for, and, you know, I saw the vision, and now we're trying to execute that vision and take the shipyard to the next level.
Okay. Well, I understand you're quite an athlete too. I know you just finished your first Ironman, I believe.
I did.
So before Merchant Marine Academy, you were looking more at a soccer career. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. In high school, I mean, really growing up, from the point I could walk, sports were jammed down my throat. I loved them. They taught me a lot about hard work, sacrifice, teamwork, and, you know, I played soccer through high school. And my original goal, and I think, you know, my family's goal too, was like, yeah, let's go D1 soccer, whether it's small or big, let's try it. And visited a couple schools, enjoyed it, and then at a last shot effort, my dad was like, go check out Kings Point, you know, go check it out. My mom literally had to kick me out of the car door, go. And so I did my overnight there at Kings Point, came out of there thinking, there's no way, this is not for me. So kept rolling through schools, tryouts, all this, and I remember having a point of reflection where it was like, all right, you know, it's time to grow up. You know, I need structure in my life, and I decided to take a shot at Kings Point, and it was arguably the best decision I've ever made. I've made some of the best friends I've ever had. Learned what it actually meant to work hard, be by yourself, and it has set me up with a background and a base, a structure to be successful. Whatever path I chose, I think I would have been successful in it, and I just happened to land on this one where, you know, running a shipyard, it's different, it's hard, but I really do enjoy it. So.
Obviously, we're in the shipyard. We're here to talk about Stevens Towing shipyard capability.
Yeah.
So people, I'm sure, watching know about it, but for those who might not know about it. So to start us off, can you just give us that big overview, that 50,000 foot level, kind of look at Stevens Shipyard, or Stevens Towing shipyard capability today?
Yeah, so Stevens Towing, we have an 820 ton travel lift. Along with that travel lift, we have roughly 15 to 20 parking stations where the vessels can get worked on. We also have Railway 3, which is 1,800 ton railway. And then we have roughly 800 feet of waterfront space and a downtown pierside facility for topside repairs.
Okay. So when you get down into some of the nitty-gritty of the equipment, I know we've mentioned the travel lift. Now you have almost a decade here of experience. From the time you started to today, What's different?
I'd say the biggest change we've had, of course, is the footprint as far as workable land. We have the 15 stations I mentioned before, and at each station we have all your utilities popping up. So it's quick plug and play, quick setup, quick breakdown, get you up, get you out. We've taken the workforce that was prior to me, that I was grandfathered in. The Stevens family had developed a very, very strong, capable workforce that worked on their own equipment, their tugboats, their barges, their fleet. And then we've branched out, taken that experience and slowly layered out, whether it's family, friends, or people that know each other, people that like to work together, and we've expanded that way. We've taken our project manager role. When I first started, I think we had one project manager. Okay. And the project manager had been here for a long time, two project managers, 40 years of experience. You don't get that overnight. So we've slowly been recruiting managers and department heads from all over. We've got guys who are port engineers for tour boats, guys that worked offshore on drill ships. We've got guys that worked on tractor tugs, guys that came up through shipyards, pipe shops, apprentice programs, and we've been trying to expand the personnel and invest in them as much as we can. Department heads as well. You try and always bring up from within as much as you can, but at times you do have to make changes and bring in new people. We brought in a new outside machinist department head who's got, I believe, 15 to 20 years of shipyard experience. We brought in a new electrical engineer who also runs the electrical shop in the yard, who came from the port, as 25, 30 years of electrical experience. On top of the external infrastructure of the shipyard, improving that, we've also upgraded our IT and computer systems and our inventory control. We now have this program called Business Central, where not only is the project manager able to get live updates of where he stands on the project, but he can quickly update the customer on their bill or where they plan on being, because you never want to have a point of contention where you close out a project and a customer doesn't know where he or she is going to be at. You want to be seeing eye to eye and kind of attack that goal together. Everybody has a budget, and you want to try and hit everyone's budget. The amount of awkward conversations at the end of a project have come almost to a stop. Because live updates, knowing where you're headed, that's the key to having, one of the keys to having a successful project. So just being transparent with where you are, it should be a win-win for everybody.
Okay. Well, we talked a little bit about the equipment, and again, I just want to take a little bit deeper dive into the marine travel lift, because I understand that was somewhat of a game changer for
Yes.
Stevens when it came in. Why don't you give me a little history on the travel lift, specifically when it came in, what capabilities it gave to you, and then looking holistically at the yard, kind of point out the other pieces of the yard or the other capabilities of the yard that you think truly make you stand out.
Yeah, so the travel lift has been in operation for 3 years now. It has increased our capacity and our availability by more than, I'd say, between 500 and 600%. When I first started, we had a small little railway and then a 150-ton travel lift. And that was the only means of getting projects off the rail, off the hauling mechanism, out into the yard. So at any time we would have, 2 or 3 max projects, and then it'd be a waiting game. So we couldn't service the customer when they wanted to come up. It was a scheduling nightmare. Now with the 820 travel lift and the 15 plus workstations we have, I can get a call now. Okay, we can haul you out tomorrow. Give us a 24, 48 hour window. We'll get you in the yard, get you taken care of. Even if it's not coming in the yard and you need a wheel swap or a prop swap or whatever, you can hop up, go back in. So it has exceeded our expectations, and we knew it would grow us and expand our capacity, but it's taken it tenfold.
That's awesome. So let's talk about some of the projects you have in, and the beauty of shipyards or shipyards, ship repair yards it's ever changing. So just to start, why don't you talk a little bit about this vessel, what's being done, and then just kind of give me an overview of the work in the yard today.
Yeah, so this vessel's got an interesting story. Ironically enough, Johnson and myself, we were hunting work, cruising work, and a photo had come up of we were putting a dredge together at another facility. And in that picture, it was a picture of this OSV in the background. And we didn't know who it was, or we saw OAG, so we went ahead and looked it up online. I think it was their CFO, their CEO, maybe their vice president. We just sent out a blast email, introduce ourselves. And the next day I actually walked up and their port engineer was on board. Introduced myself, toured the vessel, got the scope of work. He gave us a shot to bid it. 3 weeks later, they're up on the railway. We're doing blast paint, ABS, Coast Guard inspection, pulling the running gear, dropping all the coolers, doing some steel work, and then hopefully 2 weeks from now, they'll be in the water, getting ready to go back to work. So.
Yeah, and if I'm correct, OAG was unfamiliar with your facility at the time, correct?
Correct. They didn't know who we were. That's one thing we're working on. There's not a lot of shipyards, commercial shipyards left, especially on the East Coast between Florida and Norfolk. So we're trying to find our niche as a mid-sized shipyard to be able to support that market. And one way to do it is just walking on vessels, introducing yourself, and the other way is reputation. So just try and get our name out there.
When you look at your business holistically, what is your bread and butter today?
Yep.
And when you look forward, what areas of the market do you think could be particularly lucrative for Stevens Towing Shipyard?
Yeah. I'd say our foundation of the shipyard, right, was built on tugs and barges. I mean, that's what our fleet was, and that's where we've made our bread and butter, like you were saying. And we are expanding past the typical push boat, typical deck barge, and trying to branch into tractor tug markets, OSV markets, and seeing other avenues where that's relatable. In between the tractor tugs and OSVs being the new, we support the dredging industry tremendously. They have been turn and burn, get it up, get it back to the dredge, get it back, let's go. So they've been great to us, and we try and return the favor. So,
I know workforce is a challenge in every aspect of maritime. So from a company standpoint, what do you do to attract them? And then once they're here, what do you do to keep them?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's funny you ask it, because everywhere you look, whether it's head pages online, you keep hearing about labor shortages and labor issues. We don't have that issue. Of course, we've gone through it, and there's waves, a couple years back where you're trying to sort it out, but for some reason, and I believe I know what it is, we're able to hold on to our workforce. Our core, which started way back when, was really strong. And then we've expanded layer, friends, family, and we try and develop people that are willing to stay here. So we'll send them to training, we'll send them to school, set them up with certain tools, offices, whatever they need to do their job, and we treat them really well. Treat them like family, treat them like a team member, treat them like friends. Every morning when I walk into the office, project managers, department heads are in there. First thing I always hear, I say 90% of the time, is laughs. I mean, it's a great atmosphere to work here, work with people that you like working with. I don't show up to work every day miserable. They don't show up to work every day. You show up to work, and you're working with a friend. You're not working with a stranger. For the most part, you know who their family is, what they got going on in their personal life. It's very, we're tight. I'll put it that way.
How are you investing today? How are you investing in to look in that coming 12 to 24 months, the capability that we'll be seeing there?
We've been working on the travel lift and the travel lift pier, and getting the land, improving the land to be able to open up our capacity. Now we're focusing on putting the utilities in each portion of the shipyard. So we had the first leg of the north yard done. Now we're finishing the waterfront side. We're moving to the mid yard and eventually the south yard. So we'll have 4 different locations where vessels can be worked on. After that, we're going to be working on improving the waterfront. Currently, we have a floating dock and a concrete dock, and then a crane barge that moves on spuds. We're going to be working on improving that for one floating dock so that everything's there. There's an on-ramp, there's an off-ramp.
Hey, so Kurt, it's been spectacular spending some time with you here in the shipyard.
Yeah, thank you.
And again, I look forward to talking to you and your team more, again, especially as you get some unique big projects in like this. And again, I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.